News came through yesterday, Danny, that Unai Emery said to have triggered a 1-year option to his current contract until 2027, and will reportedly be asked by the owners to build a legacy to become the club's version of Sir Alex Ferguson. This came through yesterday, that Unai Emery is going to be there on a long-term basis. Of course, we do know that A, the owners are hugely wealthy, and B, they have huge ambition for Aston Villa, even back in 2019, off the back of them getting themselves up to the Premier League. When I spoke to the co-owners, Wes Edens and Nassif Sawiris, they said, you bet we're optimistic. This was Edens first.
Really, our goal was to get in the Premier League, but just as the beginning. We want to build one of the best clubs in the world. So this is a major, major step in that direction. It's just so exciting.
Yeah, it was a major step. We want to be top club in the world. And certainly by getting to the Premier League, it gives ourselves a chance to do that. This was Nassif Sawiris, his co-owner.
I'm a very bad loser. Everybody who knows me knows that I hate losing. So we're here to win.
And how big can Aston Villa get now? What now? You have big plans.
The sky's the limit. With such a great fan base, the sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. We're going to be one of the biggest clubs in the world, if not the biggest. Where do you think they'll get to long term with Unai Emery at the helm, Danny?
I think the realistic ambition would for them would to be a regular Champions League team, cement themselves in that top four. But that's going to be extremely difficult, because even if the funds are there, with financial fair play, there's only so far they can go in terms of constantly bulking up the squad and making it better. And also, of course, the competition around them is very high. There's a lot of big clubs out there trying to emulate what they're doing, but they've just invested into the manager again, which is a good idea. Not only because they want him there to give the club success, but they're protecting the asset as well, because there is always a likelihood of someone coming to try and get him because of how well he's doing. But what a job he's done. Players are improving. The mentality's improving. Even that European game, I watched the game in Lille. You know, they were nervous. There was a difficult period for them in the game, especially first half, where they could have gone under, even when they went behind, but they kept to the plan. And they got the goal in the end and got themselves through with the penalties. And that's the experience of the manager who's been there, done it in European football.
Yeah. It
didn't become chaotic. They didn't start chasing the game all over the place. They stayed in it and they got over the line, and that's what he does. And I'm pleased. It's always, I think, for me, I always like to see new teams enter the fold of that top four. And they've got potential. They've got some great young players, a manager who knows his stuff, and good backing. But can they spend the money? I don't know enough about their finances to see how much they can spend, because they do need some investment.
Yeah.
To get to the next step.
See, Villa's gain. Sorry, we're keeping you up.
Little.
Villa's gain is Newcastle's loss, isn't it? I mean, I wonder what Newcastle will be feeling now, Simon. Well, they missed out on him.
Yeah, but he might not have got them into the Champions League last season and the cup final.
It was a no from Unai to Newcastle.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that Eddie Howe, on the whole, has done a pretty good job. So I think that's probably an unkind comparison. Unai Emery is a very good manager, no doubt about it. And we're seeing the benefits of a good manager. But Aston Villa are having a moment in the sun. And we'll see, as much as I really do like Aston Villa as a football club, and I have a great deal of admiration for all of their achievements and the size and scale of the club, I'm not entirely sure it's going to be as straightforward as, okay, they've built a base, they've got a manager that's staying there for some longevity, they're now going to be a shoo-in to be in the top 5 or top 4 every season. I think there's still a massive ask. You've got some remarkable football clubs in and around them that are not firing, like Chelsea, that have got all the money in the world, and Manchester United to get better. So I think it will be really interesting to see. He picked up the slack, shown the deficiencies in Gerrard, whether, that sits well with Danny has not given us his mate. He's shown what a manager looks like in managing Aston Villa, and he's got players to be better. Watkins is firing, absolutely firing. I've used that expression a number of times, but I can't think of a better one right now. But he's on top of his game in every aspect, from the way that he approaches the game to the quality of what he's doing during it. And you look across the team, but I don't look at that team and think to myself, that's a well-beating team. I think it's a really good team. And I think it's getting to the point where, to get inside the top 4 on a regular basis, you've almost got to have an elite team that's really, really up there now, even more than it has been in the past.
Well, especially as we've seen with Newcastle this year, because what will happen to Villa if it looks like they could get it? I know Tottenham are fighting tooth and nail, but if Villa get it, they've then got to endure a Champions League campaign against high-quality opposition whilst trying to maintain their momentum in the Premier League. And Newcastle have showed you how difficult that can be.
I mean, Villa are in 4th spot on 66 points.
Deservedly
Tottenham
so.
have got a couple of games in hand on them.
Got to play Liverpool, City and Arsenal, though, Tottenham.
And they're 6 points back. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, are Villa there, Simon, because some of the others have not really fired on all cylinders this season?
Well, I think that's probably, again, an unfair characterisation because Villa are there on merit, and I don't know what gets you into the top 4. It's normally about 71 points. So whoever gets 71 points is there on merit, and they're likely to get 71 points, aren't they? So with that in mind, they've got there on merit. But there are contributing factors that have aided and abetted in terms of you would have expected a bigger presence from other sides, like Manchester United, and obviously potentially Chelsea. So, and you'd maybe with the engines that were behind Tottenham, you'd expect that to carry on and eclipse teams like Aston Villa. But I think you have to look at the work that he's done and the fact that he's staying there for a longer period of time, which, by the way, so he should, because he's been given an opportunity to come back in the Premier League by Aston Villa, and he's done very well, and he's done a job that they hoped he would do. I just think that it's going to be as tricky for Aston Villa to maintain these standards as it was for Newcastle, for different reasons.
Yeah. Who was it that said Bruno Guimaraes doesn't have the legs?
Me.
As a Newcastle fan, Bruno hasn't got the legs, really. He's missed one game in all competition all season.
That's not what legs means.
And that was a way to Bournemouth.
That's durability. That's not what legs means.
Because he was suspended.
No, Simon's right. He's talking about the athleticism for the elite midfielders. Real.
That's a fact as well, isn't it?
Yeah, he's been found out defensively at times. Not just him. No, I mean, he's a wonderful footballer.
Yeah.
Brilliant, intelligent technician. But when you compare him to people like Rodri, Declan Rice, that real elite athletic.
Yeah, the mobility.
The mobility you need, he hasn't
Doesn't
got
have it.
Yeah.
When I say he hasn't got it, it doesn't matter that he hasn't got it. But if you want to be £100 million, what I'm saying is who's coming for him? Who's going to come and get him? Who's going to break the bank, which you've got to? Cause
I wouldn't be surprised. A PSG.
Oh, maybe a PSG, because it's a doddle of a league where you just play.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. Well, they have got though, Simon. I mean, I met these two in 2019, Edens and Sawiris.
Oh, they're proper owners.
Proper owners, both massively wealthy.
Well, they're proper owners in terms of understanding sports franchises. This is how one of them will see it, because their main focus is in America. And they've been nothing but good for Aston Villa. There's been nothing about their presence at Aston Villa that anyone... They've had to weather the storm of the first season back in the Premier League where they stayed up by the skin of their teeth. They've moved on from the Jack Grealish transfer and used some of those funds to utilise opportunities. They've bought well, and they've brought a decent manager in. Their only mistake was allowing Christian Purslow. Not allowing Christian Purslow, but was allowing Christian Purslow to bring in Steven Gerrard, because that was a mistake. That was a waste of time for everybody concerned.
Yeah. Aston Villa going all right. Is it a moment in time, or will we see Unai Emery take Villa even further forward in the seasons to come ahead? We're coming up to 12:30.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.